The chamber was heavy with tension. Cameras were fixed on every movement, reporters leaned forward in their chairs, and an uneasy silence hovered in the room as the debate began. All eyes were on Senator John Kennedy, a man known not only for his sharp wit and Southern charm but also for his unwavering defense of the values he believed in. What no one expected that day was the storm that was about to unfold. A storm stirred by one determined liberal voice who had made it her mission to see him fall. The woman was young, fierce, and unapologetically outspoken, a freshman senator who had risen to fame for her fiery speeches. She represented the new wave of politics, bold, brash, and often uncompromising. She stood up with confidence, her words cutting like a blade through the chamber as she announced her intention to file a motion against Kennedy, calling him outdated, irrelevant, and unfit to hold his seat. Her supporters cheered loudly, believing this was the moment their movement would crush one of the Senate's longest-standing figures. For a moment, Kennedy said nothing. He leaned back in his chair, glasses perched low on his nose, his face calm. The camera zoomed in, waiting for his reaction. The room was divided, as some eager to see him crumble, others praying for his resilience. The silence felt like it could shatter glass. Then, Kennedy slowly rose to his feet. "Ma'am," he began, his voice steady but firm, "I've been called a lot of things in my time, some deserved, some not, but irrelevant. That's a new one." A ripple of laughter spread through the chamber, breaking the tension. But Kennedy's tone quickly shifted, becoming more serious, more heartfelt. He looked directly at his challenger. "You want to take this seat? You want to tell the people of this country that my time is done? That's your right, but I didn't get here because of a title, and I won't stay here because of one either. I'm here because the people I represent, the farmers, the teachers, the workers that trust me to fight for them, and until they say otherwise, this seat doesn't belong to you, and it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to them." The chamber grew quiet again, but this time the silence carried weight. Kennedy wasn't grandstanding, he wasn't mocking, he was speaking from the heart. He told the story of a young mother from his state who wrote to him about choosing between paying for her child's medicine and keeping the lights on. He told of the veteran who sat in his office, hands shaking, ashamed to ask for help because his benefits had been delayed. And he told of the high school student who said she'd never felt her voice mattered until Kennedy personally answered her letter. "Politics isn't about who can shout the loudest," Kennedy continued, his voice carrying emotion. "It's about who listens the hardest. You want to lead? Then start by listening." The liberal senator shifted in her seat, her earlier fire dimming under the weight of his words. For the first time, her expression softened. She wasn't expecting this. She had prepared for a battle of insults, maybe even a shouting match, but not for a lesson delivered with compassion and conviction. The chamber erupted into applause, not from party lines, but from across the aisle. Even those who disagreed with Kennedy on policy couldn't deny the truth in his words. He had reminded everyone of something politics often forgets, so that it's not about power, but about people. The young senator sat down, her eyes lowered, her hands clasped tightly together, and while she didn't say a word, the look on her face spoke volumes. She hadn't defeated Kennedy. Instead, she had been humbled by him. In the days that followed, news outlets buzzed with the story. Some painted it as a clash of generations, others as a lesson in humility. But for the people watching at home, it was something more. It was a reminder that true leadership isn't about tearing others down. It's about lifting people up, even when it costs you something. Kennedy, when asked by a reporter afterward if he felt vindicated, only smiled and said, "I don't need vindication. I just need to do my job." That simple statement struck a chord with millions. For every person who had ever felt unheard, for every citizen tired of politics being reduced to insults and power plays, Kennedy's words rang out like a beacon. And even his critics, those who disagreed with him on nearly everything, had to admit that day he showed what it meant to stand with grace, conviction, and humility. What began as an attempt to push him out of his seat ended up becoming a moment that reminded the nation of something timeless. Titles fade, power shifts, and arguments are forgotten, but integrity never goes out of style. And as the applause from that day still echoes in the minds of those who were there, one thing is certain: John Kennedy's seat wasn't just defended, it was redefined.